treatment and everything I've been going through, right? So anyone wants to ask that here, fuck them. Muted, gone. Uh, what else? Yeah, anyone that comments about how I look, again, you otherwise would see me every day because I'm live every day. Again, muted, gone. You don't think I'm worth supporting? Cool, got it. Don't please don't be here. I'm not worth supporting to you. That's amazing. Um, I've been going through hell. All I wanted was being able to read to you guys. And fortunately, I put on a dress for tonight because I was hoping I would have, one night of them not doing this to me. Not so fast. 'Cause I'm like, "Red flag." Sick. You are sick. Obsessed. Gross. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're that fucking obsessed with me? Like, what the fuck? S- I don't think they're going to do anything over language. So I did put on the dress for that. So I thought, you know what? I could do better because I am clothed. But the language will be salty because the book is very salty. Um, for those that don't give a fuck about me enough to actually support me, um, we've been reading adult books. This is the newest one now in the series that I've been looking forward to. It's actually just starting tonight. So yeah, if this is your first time seeing me, maybe there's a chance that you could care about me at some level, and you'd like to see me read this book again or whatever. Um, then there's a link below. You always at any time can follow and support, and I'll be reading until I'm taken down by the people that are obsessed with me and then have to start again, even through no matter what the fuck I go through, the death of my mother, fucking cancer, they still don't care. So our time is more limited tonight since we're getting a later start due to the people that are obsessed with me. I said a lot about this last night on where. So I don't need to repeat it now because anybody that cares, they can watch it or they have watched it. Um, okay. So the one we're starting tonight, it's what is it called? Um, I just know it's the one with an older guy, but I'm gonna like age him up even older in my mind. Or let me be careful because I'm still not wearing armor, so be careful how I turn. Mm, that's good. Okay. Oh shit. Sir, I have to actually like literally pull you up here because I can't risk this time. How I turn. Yeah, the book isn't called Sick Evil Monsters. That's just the only words that can come to my mind of the people that are doing this to me. There's literally like you can't find anyone in the world that's worth tormenting more than me. Not that I'm advocating tormenting, but fuck. Okay. All right. I got it. I really hope you're okay. Bye. Ban them. They should not be here. If you cared at all, if I was okay, you know exactly how to find that out. If this is not a secret. See how easy that works? Thank you, Terry. Oh, okay, this is called highest bidder. I really hope you're okay. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're like really caught me on my. I mean, well, not really catching. I'm only here for due to the. Oh, I love this the dedication here for all the daddy's girls. Can I pretend that's me? Even though I don't have I never had a father. They give a note that it contains warnings for the first 4 books. So we read 2. One of them we're skipping because that has to do like kind of gay. The other another one we're gonna get to, but I wanted to get forward to this one. So um, yeah, Beau and Madame Maggie. That one we haven't done yet. That I forget the book. I think it's called Mercy. We have that one. And then what else we get? Let me just make sure I'm like completely. Ugh. Normally, I would not have anything on, but so how the haters work. Okay. Dear reader, there's always like a little trigger warning. As always, this story will have some intense themes I'd like you to be aware of before embarking on this journey with the characters. There is a heavy emphasis on grief, parental loss. That's me, I have no parents, as well as child loss. There is also healing, recovery, and remembrance. Rest assured that I would never write the sad parts without the happy parts. Grief and joy coexist. Much love, my readers. Enjoy. Okay. Prologue, Ronin, 9 years ago. From Emerson Grant to Ronin Cade. Subject, investment opportunity. Ronin, I'm looking to start a new company, and I'd love to meet with you regarding an investment opportunity. I can give you more information during our meeting, but I have reason to believe this would be a fitting addition to your corporate shareholding portfolio for financial. It's trash night, so feeling it's just people rolling the trash. Oh, I think I got bit by an ant too today. I had like a little nightie on and then I brought the trash up and I was barefoot before I was working on my cam. And I had to go through the sand because of the way I parked my car and I didn't want to have to repark. Anyway, and I got like one bite on like this foot, but whatever. Well, we're back on, but yeah, it won't be for long. We'll get another channel. This is how it is when people are obsessed with you. I don't. Okay. Okay. Ronan, I'm looking to start a new company. So is Emerson writing him. I guess he wants him to invest. Uh, I can give you more information during our meeting, but I have reason to believe this would be a fitting addition to your corporate shareholding portfolio for financial and personal reasons. Please call me at your earliest convenience. Hope you're doing well, friend. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Emerson Grant. Ronan, are you listening to me? I glance up from my computer screen to see Shannon standing teary-eyed in the doorway, watching me with anguish on her face. Fuck, I didn't even see her walk in. What an asshole I am. Just a few moments ago, she tried to tell me it was over between us, and rather than facing the truth, I escaped to my office. I told her I needed a moment to think. Instead, I started checking emails as if anything in my inbox could erase the pain of losing yet another woman I love. Quickly, I clicked the monitor off and rise from my seat. I'm sorry, I replied as I crossed the room to stand in front of her. See, she mumbles, taking my hands in hers. We'd never make it. You're obsessed with your work, and I'm obsessed with you. I have a daughter to look after, Ronan, and she deserves my attention more. So, what does he do? Um, Bring her to Briar Point, I reply with a desperate plea. Let me take care of you both. I promise I'll work less. She squeezes her eyes closed, a tear slipping through and running over her beautiful cheek. I wipe it away, pulling her against my body, wanting to shut out the world and just hold her. It's been so long since I've loved a woman this much and fallen in such a short amount of time. Shannon came out from Indiana to Briar Point 6 weeks ago to settle a real estate deal, and we met on a whim. Her 2 week trip tripled as we fell hard and fast for each other. But we knew this affair would have to end eventually. Not even my last wife could steal the heart out of my chest the way Shannon does. But Shannon isn't like the other women I've been with. She doesn't care about the money or the security. All she truly wants is to be by my side. And the best I can give her is a sliver of my time. I am a fool. I can't, she whispers against my chest. I need to go home. It's bad enough I've been gone all summer, but Daisy deserves a normal life and a mother who puts her first. Wait, she's only been there 3 weeks? You know this makes me love you more, I mumble, tilting her face up so I can gaze down at her, even with her bloodshot blue eyes and blotches of pink on her pale white cheeks from crying. She's still breathtaking. Her love is written across her features. Love for me and for her daughter. She's a woman being torn in two. Unable to hold back, I gather her tightly in my arms, squeezing her against me as if I can avoid the truth that this whirlwind of a summer must come to an end, and when Shannon leaves for good, I'll be alone again. So wait a minute. They've only known each other for 3 weeks, but he's also been like working a lot during that time. Like, what does that leave? A couple of weekends? Mm, mm. Sipping my coffee. Pumpkin spice. So I got this pumpkin spice creamer that's like just on the verge of going bad, or the expiration's in a few days, but I got for 50 cents when they clearance them. Um, and I've been making my way through them so I can get the most savings. So yeah, it's delicious. It's that international delight. Okay. Anguish and desperation are building inside me, and I feel the need to make it right, to fix it, to throw money at the pain in hopes that it somehow disappears. Gently, I pull away. Let me give you something. She shakes her head with eyes shut tight. No, Ronan, please. I don't want your money. I can't stand the thought of you wanting or needing anything. Shannon, please, I plead. She opens her eyes, tears still streaming as she forces a sad smile onto her face. She takes my hands in hers again, squeezing tight, and the words that come out of her mouth obliterate me. No, Ronan, I love you for free. I'm frozen in place, staring down at what I know is the last real love I'll feel in this lifetime. What kind of fool lets something like this go? But what match am I for her daughter? I know the weight of that love, the willingness to sacrifice whatever it takes. A love so rich you'd willingly drown in it. With that, I get an idea. Then let me give her something, I say in desperation. Ronan, I'm already moving to my desk, grabbing my checkbook from the top drawer. Please, Shannon, if you won't take it for yourself, take it for her. So I know you understand that she is just as important to me as you are. She never has to want for anything. So she knows she's worth it. Do this for your daughter, Shannon. I look up at her with a pleading expression. I know a parent's love. There's a hint of sympathy in her eyes as she takes the check from my fingers, her gaze slowly trailing down to the number written on the paper. When they go wide, I know she's about to argue. It's too much. I'll have my financial advisor call you. He can put it into an account for her so it accrues interest. By the time she starts college, you won't have to pay a dime. You'll be able to relax knowing she's taken care of. When her eyes drift back up toward mine, I see the softness in her expression. In the next breath, she's in my arms again. I'm breathing in the scent of her shampoo and memorizing the way she fits in my arms, tucked just under my chin. I mumble into her hair, "You were never just a fling to me. You know that, right?" When she nods, I hear the tiny yelp of a sob escape her lips. I want to try and convince her to stay again. I wish I had the guts to throw all of this away for her, sell the company and my properties, give away all my money just to give her and her daughter the normal lives they deserve. But I'm too afraid that my pain will seep back in and ruin it all without work to bury myself in what is left of me. Shannon and her daughter deserve better. Let me drive you to the airport, I whisper, but she shakes her head. No, I can't stand to drag this out any more than it already is. I have to go, Ronin. When she pulls herself out of my arms, it feels like another stab to the chest, another loss, another woman slipping through my fingers. It's like living that same tragic day over and over and over again. I can't watch her leave. Instead, I turn and face the window overlooking the city below, then hear the sound of the front door closing, like the ring of a gunshot that nearly kills me. Just like that, she's gone and I'm alone. The pain is sharp and unyielding. So instead of feeling it, I sit down at my desk and turn the monitor back on. The email from Emerson will still open on the screen. Without another thought, I click reply. From Ronin Kate to Emerson Grant. Subject: investment or RE investment opportunity. Answer me now, please. What happened? The fuck? Emerson, let's meet at your earliest convenience. And you see that was illegal. I got that. He's in the hospital right now still. Um, so you all wish him well. So he can help me get another channel. um, Emerson, let's meet at your earliest convenience. I'm very interested in hearing about your new company, and my schedule is wide open. Rule number one: put your money where your mouth is. Daisy, the pretty blonde with the big eyelashes I call, dropping my drink tray on the bar and catching Gio's attention as he pours a pint of beer. His eyes squint as he surveys the crowd of people near the stage. You think so? He replies with a laugh. Yes, I do. I figured him out. He never bids on the first girls, and he's had a thing for blondes over 30 lately, I say, with confidence, loading martinis onto my drink tray. With a shrug, he nods. I'm going with the Shibari instructor. Shibari instructor? I reply with astonishment. No way. She's much too dominant for him. Maybe he wants to change things up. Geo, the man is 56. I doubt he wants to change anything up at this point. As he sets another espresso martini on my tray, he gives me a smug expression. You have a lot to learn around here, Daisy. I've been working at Salacious for the past 3 months, and I have to admit, I did not see a drink server at a sex club at 21 on my vision board when I was growing up. It just sort of happened. And although I haven't explored much, I have to confess, this place is not what I expected. Granted, peeked behind the I haven't peeked behind any black curtains, but all that matters to me is that the owners are kind, the management is fair, and I make enough to live off of. It's not like some sleazy strip club or a gross members lounge. No one tries to grab my ass or catcall me as I walk by. The owners do a pretty good job. Oh, see, I came back. I was like, has no one wrote anything since um that person was blocked or whatever? Hi, Darth. Um, hmm, uh, and it provides some of the best people watching on the planet. When I was a kid, my mother would sometimes take me to the mall and we'd get ice cream and just watch the shoppers go by, making up ridiculous stories about them for fun. Well, now I do that in a sex club, and it's 100 times better. On a good night, I can string together a few song lyrics out of a single shift of people watching, humming the made up tune as I work. Making auction night bets with the sexy dark haired bartender has been a fun perk of the job, too. Gio and I start every Thursday night by checking out the guys and girls that are signed up to get on stage. Then we make our wagers for which one is most likely to garner the highest bids from the club's wealthiest member. So far, I'm undefeated. Shaking my head at Gio, I carry the tray full of drinks over to the high top table, placing them on the surface with a polite smile. On my way back, I catch sight of Mr. Cade himself, the richest member of them all, strutting in through the front entrance toward his regular spot at the back. You can't miss him with that head full of silver hair and exquisite style. I may not be into older guys, but I understand how a man like him is so popular with the women here. He's in tight black pants and a white shirt with the top two buttons undone. His eyes don't shift much as he walks. I've noticed that about him. A normal person would scan the room as they enter, but not him. He just waltzes straight to his table, glancing back at Gio and giving him a curt wave as if to signal his need for a drink. I must be staring at him for a moment too long because Gio notices. You sure have been watching Mr. Kate a lot. Gio shoots me a wink as he starts on Ronan's bourbon neat. I screw up my face at his insinuation. That's not my interest in Ronan Cade. I screw up my face at his insinuation that my interest in Ronan Cade is anything sexual. Not like that. He laughs. What? You're not into older guys? I lean closer. No, and neither are any of those girls. We all know they're only into him for the diamonds and breast implants. What? As soon as the words leave my lips, sounding harsher than I like, I wince. That didn't sound like me at all. I'm not that girl. Then again, I haven't recognized myself in a while. My eyes cast downward as I chew on my lip, my fingers moving to fiddle with my mother's clover charm necklace hanging around my neck. The truth is that I do watch Ronin a lot. Ronan's not like that, Geo replies with a chuckle, believe it or not. If you say so, I reply, faking a smile. I just can't imagine any straight male billionaire on earth that wouldn't use his riches to entice beautiful young women into his bed. Sounds to me like you need to see for yourself. If only Geo knew the truth. I'm not scrutinizing Ronan out of judgment, and it's not out of romantic interest either. It's out of pure curiosity. Well, that, and to solve a little mystery of my own. Still betting on the busty blonde? Geo asks as he places the bourbon on the tray. I glance over at the beautiful woman currently greeting Ronan with a simmering smile. There's something about the way he's giving her his attention tonight that's making me think he's about to go big. I can't say how I know, but it's just a feeling. 100%, I reply. Geo chuckles to himself. Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? I furrow my brow at him. Very funny. You know I don't have any money. With that, I take the bourbon neat over to where Ronan is sitting. The blonde walks away just as I arrive. Evening, Mr. Cade, I say sweetly without making eye contact. And as I set his drink down in front of him, thank you, Daisy, he replies, using my name like he knows me, which he doesn't. Like every other night when I serve him his drinks, I let my eyes cascade over him for just a moment, noticing the gentle crow's feet around his eyes and the salt and pepper coloration of his hair. Then I stare at his face, really taking in his expression. He seems a little less cordial tonight. His eyes fixed on the stage. He looks determined, as if he is ready for the auction to start already. When I return to the bar, I'm feeling a little more confident than before. Okay, what are we playing for tonight? I ask Geo. He chuckles. You sound confident. I glance back over at Ronan. He's still staring at the stage. He's definitely in the mood to win tonight. I bet he's had a rough day at work and doesn't want to bother with flirting or having to get a date the regular way, so he's playing to win. Loser has to mop, he replies while wiping down the bar. That's it. Or she's like, that's it? Have something better in mind. Winner gets to pick the bar tomorrow night, and the loser has to buy the first round. He screws up his face in anguish. You're going to pick the piano bar down the street, aren't you? With one sweet smile from me, he has his answer. Geo immediately rolls his eyes. Ugh, fine. I guess they go out to like a bar after work or something. I don't know. I beam triumphantly, already looking forward to the cheesy Billy Joel covers. Um, I wanted to say the first line to the song New York State of Mind, and I couldn't find it. I think is it some folks like to get away? Is that how it starts? What's your favorite Billy Joel song? Put it in the chats. Uh, where was I? Billy Joel covers. Then his expression shifts into something contemplative. After cleaning the glass in his hand, he shelves it and looks up at me. Actually, I have a better deal. Oh, yeah? What is it? Okay. If he wins the blonde, I'll take you to that piano bar. But if he doesn't pick the blonde, then I win and you have to get up there. He nods toward the stage, and I spin around to see what he's referring to. The auction is just about to start, but there aren't any girls on stage yet. The crowd of bidders is growing, though, like it usually does on Thursday nights. What? On stage? On the auction block, Daisy? My face falls. He's not serious. Me? Yes, you. I lean over the bar to get closer to him. Are you crazy, Gio? I'm not getting up there. Why not, Miss Judgmental? I think it might be good for you to gain some perspective. I'm not judgmental, I argue. I was just kidding. There's no way I can get on that stage. So, no deal then, he asked in a mocking tone. I glance at the stage, then back at my friend. Then I let my eyes trail over to Ronan, who's already almost done with his bourbon, which he normally takes longer to drink. At this point, it's not even about wanting to go to that piano bar. It's a matter of pride. I've never lost a bet where Ronan Kate is concerned, and I don't plan on it now. With this past year being one bad decision after another, I need this win, if for nothing else than to prove to myself that I know a good call when I see one. I won't end up on that auction block. I'll be singing Piano Man 24 hours from now. She's like, sure of herself. Fine, I snap deal. She's gonna sing Piano Man. Isn't that song like 20 minutes long? What did you guys say? Daryl goes Piano Man. We didn't start the fire. How about how about um how about like a romantic one? Oh, for the longest time. Yeah, that's a good one. Deep cuts. I like it. Okay. Then I turn my head and belt out. Oh, River of Dreams. I'm gonna have to play that tonight. My mom always loved that song. Uh, mm, I belt out, sing us a song, you're the piano man, as I carry another tray of drinks out to the floor. Gio laughs loudly behind me, and I catch Ronan's curious gaze as I go. I square my shoulders and try to look more confident than I feel. Inside, I'm shaking because I can't help but wonder if I just made one dangerous deal. Rule number two, avoid being predictable. Ronin. The little remaining bourbon in my glass swirls slowly as I turn it, the soft yet smoky aroma hitting my nose as I watch the crowd bustle around me. It's a lively night at the club, as auction nights often are. The ostentatious show of wealth, the promise of sex, the potential of what one winning bid might bring. It's easily my favorite night at Salacious. I almost didn't come in tonight. It's been a hell of a day. I couldn't sleep last night. I couldn't focus on work today and couldn't muster the energy of the desire for sex if I tried. Of course, death anniversaries will do that to you, though. They're like evil little reminders dwelling on your calendar, not to be celebrated, but impossible to ignore, even after 28 years. I toss back the remaining sip in my glass just as the waitress passes by. Another Mr. Cade? She asked with an innocent looking smile. Yes, please, Daisy. With a gentle nod of her head, she takes my empty glass and walks away. This girl showed up at the club after the holidays, and I find her strangely intriguing. She's young and far too angelic looking to be a drink server at a sex club. I have a keen enough eye to notice the way I intrigue her, too. The way her gaze always seems to find its way to me, especially on Thursday nights. To her, I'm an enigma, someone to gawk at, to marvel, to internally question, but never to approach or speak to. I get this reaction with a lot of people, mostly people who think I'm nothing more than a callous CEO or an arrogant Dom, and maybe that's true, but I know how much I like to be surprised by the people I meet. I only wish the same opportunity was afforded to me. Just as Daisy brings back my bourbon, this one heavily poured, I direct a curious brow in her direction. Happy bidding, she croons with a sugary grin. Thanks, I mutter before bringing the drink to my lips. No point in telling her I won't be doing any bidding tonight. Just then, the auction starts with a few familiar faces, men and women who grace the stage nearly every week. I know from experience that many of them will make every penny paid for their time worth it. Not that sex is mandatory in this situation. They're simply offering up an hour, whether it be for drinks at the bar or a private or less than private room. It's the eager and audacious attitudes towards sex that I appreciate anyway, which means I haven't won the time of any willing participants that I didn't enjoy. When the beautiful woman with the shoulder length blonde curls takes the stage, looking a little more nervous than the others, I wish I were in the mood to entertain company tonight. She looks like the kind of woman who could hold a good conversation before we fuck like animals, naturally. There are two men at the back of the room volleying their bids back and forth, and I'm pleased to see her date going for over 10 grand. She looks quite pleased with herself, too. Just as the bidding gets heated, I feel Daisy saddle up to my side. I do a double take, at first wondering if she's already here to refill my glass. But then I notice she's wearing an anxious expression. Aren't you going to bid on her? My brows pinch together as I gaze up at her in confusion. What on earth is Daisy so worried about? Is there some reason I should? I asked skeptically. Daisy has her bottom lip pinched between her teeth and she's rubbing her fingers anxiously over the silver charm of her necklace. No reason, she stammers, just curious. She seems like your type, is all. This time my eyes widen as I completely turn my body in her direction. She seems like my type. Do tell, what exactly is my type, Daisy? Now I'm amused. This is by far the most words Daisy has ever uttered to me, and I can't help but wonder if the woman currently on stage has put the young waitress up to this, doing her best to coax my bidding hand. The auction proceeds while I'm staring at Daisy in curiosity. She looks almost pale as she watches the auctioneer, who's really just the resident MC that Garrett has hired to run these events. I'm still waiting for Daisy's response to my question as the announcer calls out, "Sold to the man in the back for 15,000." Daisy's eyes are wide as saucers now, and before I can ask what the hell is going on, she scurries off like a frightened field mouse. And meanwhile, the blonde is beaming down at the gentleman who walks up to the stage and takes her sweetly by the hand, leading her to the empty chair next to his. She looks pleased with how that turned out, and I smile to myself as I bring the bourbon to my lips, realizing that the club seems to have done its trick tonight. For the first time today, I'm not in pain, and it's a welcome relief. But as the next player takes the stage, this time a handsome sub who I've heard likes a lot of pain, I realize I can't get my mind off of Daisy. Standing from my seat as the bidding begins, I find Geo at the bar. Hey, where did Daisy go? I ask. Geo is pouring a glass of wine as his cheeks stretch into a toothy grin. My guess would be halfway to Sacramento by now. What? He laughs as he sets down the drink in front of the waiting woman. She lost a bet and she's probably hiding so I don't make her pay up. My brows pinch together as I stroke my hand over my beard. Did this bet happen to have anything to do with me? Gio's smile grows more mischievous. Maybe. With a shake of my head, I level a stern glare at him before returning to my seat. This explains Daisy's peculiar behavior. I'm sure if I were working every auction night at the club, I'd find ways to make it interesting too. When Eden takes the stage a few minutes later, I catch sight of Daisy nearly spilling a tray of martinis due to the shake in her hands. I don't know what her wager was, but by the looks of it, she's not eager to settle up. The bidding war for Eden goes down between a lot of patrons, as it usually does. It doesn't take long before half of them are priced out, and she's standing on stage proudly, while a man and woman go to war for her. A three-way, costing them somewhere in the six digits. For most of these people, that's equivalent to 20 bucks in their bank accounts. But as I watch my best and oldest friend see just how badly these people want to spend one sexy, filled hour with her. It makes me really fucking happy. She deserves this. The woman ends up on top with the bids, and Eden wears an enthusiastic expression as she slinks off the stage and nearly drags the woman toward the stairs. And I figure my night is over. Not a total loss for an evening at the club. I could have spent the last 2 hours of my night in much worse ways, so I toss back the rest of my drink and start to rise. But that's where the night takes a turn. Just after the announcer starts to thank everyone for coming and declares an end to the auction, a voice bellows from the bar, "Actually, we have one more." The announcer smiles at Geo from the stage. Is our bartender joining us on the auction block tonight? He says excitedly. Geo snickers. Oh, not me. Then I watch as he points directly at Daisy, and every pair of eyes in the room shift, landing on her. Our drink server, Daisy, will be auctioning off a 1 hour date for tonight. The MC looks straight at her. Daisy, what a treat. Would you care to join us on stage? Her smile is forced as she meanders awkwardly up to the stage. I have to pinch my bottom lip between my teeth to keep from smiling like an idiot as I watch her take her place front and center. This answers my question. Daisy lost a bet, and it's time for her to pay up. When she's standing under the lights, highlighting her nearly white blonde hair, why are they always blonde? Why can't I pretend she has black hair? I have to. It's an older guy. He needs a white hair. She needs a black hair. Okay. um, because Mia was blonde, was Charlie was a brunette, but like a mousy white, like lighter brunette. Um, okay. Um, I find myself suddenly admiring her for the first time. She's a cute little thing, long wavy blonde hair, and that she always keeps braided down one side. Stunning sky blue eyes, just like Mia, and a button nose. But she's young, too young. Not that I have a problem dating women younger than me. I'm at the tail end of 56. I'm going to pretend you're older. I don't have a preference either way, but a woman as young as Daisy wouldn't be interested in a man of my years, at least not for the right reasons. I've learned that lesson the hard way. She's standing in the middle of the stage next to the MC in her tight little server skirt and black top with red heels. She's holding her hands clasped together in front of her, looking way out of her comfort zone. I almost feel bad for her. After an awkward introduction and some gro- goading from Geo at the bar, they start the bidding, and I have every intention of only being a spectator. A couple people I know end up getting it going. And Gandalf. What is that? Lord of the Rings. Uh, uh, mhm. I find myself scrutinizing the people placing bids. Low bids, if you ask me. One is a lawyer in his 30s, another a younger guy I've spotted in the voyeur hall a lot, and then a new guy I've never seen here before. I shift in my seat. I trust Emerson and the rest of the team to vet their members harshly, but there's something about seeing a new face at the club that gives me pause. He looks like something the stock market spit out. Cocky expression, cheap suit, big attitude, and I can't help myself. 15, I call. I figure it's my fault she's up there in the first place. The least I can do is save her from the misery of having to spend an hour with one of these guys. Daisy's eyes land on my face with her eyes wide as saucers. If you were on the site that you're not allowed to spell out, you would know. You don't want to support me. Bye. Please mute that person. Even if cancer, you still wouldn't support me. No. What is with these people tonight? Let me lose my spot. Okay. Daisy's eyes land on my face with her eyes as wide as saucers. Ronan Cade bids 15,000. The announcer exclaims, "Do we have a challenger? Can I get 16?" 20, the new guy returns. The other two stay silent. My spine stiffens when I watch his eyes cascade over Daisy. He's sure as hell not looking at her face, and something about him just gives me a bad feeling. 25, I say with certainty. This time, the kid in the suit turns to glare at me, adjusting the tie around his neck, clearly uncomfortable. As our eyes meet, I watch the fight in his expression die. He's not going to outbid me, and he knows it. And so it's all a matter of how much he's willing to risk and how badly he wants to get this fear stricken girl alone. But I promise I'm ready to gamble more. Bella! Shut up! Okay. Hmm. Pressing my shoulders back, I wait for his next bid. Do I hear 26 from the young gentleman up front? He swallows, then turns toward the stage. Daisy is starting to look a little green as she waits for the next move. Hesitantly, he raises a hand. 26. All eyes are on me as I nod to the announcer. 30. Daisy bites her lip. My competitor laughs, looking cocky. 40,000, he calls out, trying to appear brave. 50, I say, without even blinking. The young guy comes back with another bid and another and another. I outbid each one until he nervously stammers, 75. Is Hey, anybody see Nora? Is the younger guy reminding you of what's his name? Dasha? Like I don't understand Russian male names or female. Darsha, Darishka, Darushka. Doesn't remind you of that fucker. It's his dad's money. Sorry. Uh, $100,000, I proclaim, my fingers thrumming against the leather of the chair. There are stirrings of surprise in the crowd. Daisy's already pale skin takes on a new shade of porcelain, like the keys of a shiny new piano. 100, going once, going twice. Her eyes dance back and forth between me and the young guy. 100,000 to Ronin Cade, the MC announces, and Daisy looks about ready to faint. I watch the young guy's jaw click as he clenches it in frustration. The crowd cheers, staring at me in fascination as Daisy makes her way down from the stage, meekly walking in my direction, but then pauses when she reaches me. I stand, putting out a hand in which she places her delicate fingers. Her eyes don't leave my face as she gazes at me with intrigue. Within moments, the crowd disperses and loses interest. So it's now just me and a nervous looking waitress. Oh, I crash. Are you all right? I ask. There's a tremble in her hand. Yeah, she replies unconvincingly. Then she starts to shuffle to her feet, looking around at the busy room. I have to finish my shift, but if you plan on sticking around for a while, she says as her eyes cascade toward the bar. A part of me wants to consider taking the date. I could escort her upstairs to my private room, get to know her a little better, maybe prove to her that I'm not, in fact, too old, too rich, or too boring. But something holds me back. That old voice in my head that sees her as potential for heartbreak more than anything else. So I touch her gently on the arm. Actually, Daisy, do you mind if I get a rain check on that date? Her mouth forms a small O as she turns to gaze up at me. Of course. I look forward to it, I reply with a smirk, although I have no intention of cashing in on that rain check. Have a lovely evening, Daisy. Good night, Ronan. With that, I walk toward the exit alone and find my driver out front waiting for me. As I climb into the back seat, I realize that I never found out exactly what Daisy wagered when she lost that bet. And I make it a point to ask her another time. The last thing I want to be is predictable. Rule number 3, those who live in rundown vans shouldn't judge others. Who lives in a van by the river? To be a billionaire and spend Here's the thing. I think rich people are known to be stingy. I think most rich people are stingy. Like, didn't John tell me a story about Trump screwing over his friend, like from paying him for his casino, whatever like bullshit project he was doing. And that's not uncommon with his rich, I'm a billionaire, I'm so rich. Like, no, grab it by the pussy or whatever. Like, they won't, I don't want to say they won't like give a tip, but a lot of times they're not the best tippers. Actually, I feel like Darth could tell you that. Because um, he works on tips. Um, so it's more a matter of generosity. It's you'd rather be with a man that shows not because he's rich the generosity to try to help you. And they'll give you more than a guy that's rich. Yeah. No, otherwise it's like, I'm rich. You should be so fortunate to suck on my dick because I'm rich or whatever. That this is just setting up, for the story. But okay. Plus, I mean, he probably gets a percent, right? He's an investor in the club. Probably the house takes half. Okay, it probably goes back to him anyway. I mean, I don't know. Isn't that the thing with like strippers that they have to um give the give them money, for using their stage? Mm, okay. Daisy. My breath comes out in foggy puffs as I scroll through various apps on my phone. There are 3 layers of socks on my feet, but no matter how much I rub them together, they still have a chill that goes down to the bone. My tiny little space heater does a nice job of heating up the van, but it smells like burnt hair. What? And I'm too scared to sleep with it on. So I'm curled up under 3 blankets instead. I wish I could sleep, but I can't shake the nip in the air. Plus, I'm too busy reliving my strange encounter with Ronan Cade. I've barely spoken 10 whole words to the man in the past 3 months, even though I see him nearly every night. Then tonight, he randomly bids 100 grand on a date with me that he doesn't cash in on. Why? I mean, maybe he did actually want a rain check. Maybe he wasn't in the mood or wasn't feeling well. So then why bid at all? None of it makes sense. Even Gio was thrown off by Ronan's behavior. In some weird way, I feel like I've earned some bragging rights from this. For just a few minutes up on the stage, I had the attention of the richest man in Briar Point. And yes, I looked him up online. He's worth $1.5 billion. He's not just rich, he's filthy rich. And he bid on me in an auction. I probably shouldn't feel special. I watched him do the same with dozens of girls, but it still felt nice. I mean, I didn't really want to date anyway. If Ronan Cade were about 30 years younger, I would have been all over it. Was. uh, I've seen pics of him in his 20s. He was seriously gorgeous, but no matter how well he's aged, it doesn't change the fact that there are 3.5 decades between us. He's still handsome, but I just can't seem to convince my sex drive to see him as anything other than a dashing silver fox. Suddenly, I find myself laughing out loud like a crazy person because here I am sleeping in my van and judging a billionaire man for not being young enough for me. Daisy, you're an idiot. If I were smart, I would have thrown myself at that man. I had the perfect opportunity to do just that, but I blew it. A smart girl would have used tonight to get close to him, perhaps even slept with him to get the answers I want. I mean, sleeping with Ronan Cade is hardly a sacrifice. I'm sure plenty of women do it for free. But I'm not all that smart or sexy or cunning. The truth of the matter is that I have a savings account with over $1 million in it, issued to me 9 years ago by a man named Ronin Cade, who before 3 months ago I had never met. So, yeah, I might be willing to trade sex for that information if it came down to it. All I know is that when my mother passed away 3 years ago, there was a folder in her files with some lengthy paperwork and a high yield savings account in a bank in Briar Point, California, listing me as the beneficiary. My mother, as amazing as she was, failed to tell me the reason this complete stranger left me with enough money and compounding interest to get me through college. And I won't touch it until I know why, which is why I have gone to great, slightly unhinged lengths to figure it out, including some minor stalking, moving across the country, getting a job where I know he goes, and slowly studying him over the course of 3 months. Is it the most deranged thing I've ever done? By far. Do I have anything better to do with my time? Sadly, no. Until I figure all this out, I'm not using that money for music school or a fresh start. I need to know why it's there before I touch it. After placing my phone on the shelf next to my bed, I roll onto my opposite side. The thought of my mother feels like picking at a wound that refuses to heal. So I attempt to brush the thought away. This always seems to happen. It's like a cruel game of 6 degrees of separation. Thinking about work makes me think of Ronan, which makes me think of the account, which makes me think of my mother, which immediately makes me think of her grisly and torturous death. It seems every thought leads to this point eventually. I have a hard enough time sleeping as it is. Once I get going, thinking about her in that bed, sunken, pale, and struggling to breathe her last breath, it's all downhill from there. And I know sleep will never come. There I go again, my brain replaying the whole thing, even though I explicitly begged it not to. I was 18 when my mother died, which is a terrible age to lose a parent. Not that any of them are all that great, but being thrust into adulthood, both literally and figuratively, is bad enough on its own. But carrying the weight of grief on top of that is completely unfair. I had nothing when my mother died, in the figurative sense, I mean. So I coasted for 3 years in a home that reeked of her absence. And soon that home turned into a prison until one day, late last year, I was going through her paperwork in search of something the insurance company wanted. But instead of finding it, I found a bank statement from when I was 12 with the name of a man I'd never heard before. To say I became obsessed would be an understatement. My life revolved around this mystery and still does. There were a few things I ruled out immediately. First, I asked my dad if he knew a Ronan Kate in Briar Point, and he said no. Second, and this one is a relief, Ronan and I are not in any way related. He's not my long lost grandfather or secret daddy, thanks to my dad's strong biological genes. I look just like him. So that's a saving grace I didn't ever think I needed. And Ronan is old, but not old enough to be my grandfather, so that's ruled out. My first observation was that Ronan Cade didn't know me. I worked at the club, my name tag in full view, and not once did he say, "Hey, aren't you that kid I gave $1 million to almost a decade ago?" Not once. So, whatever the reason, I'm clearly a mystery to him as much as he is to me, which leads me to my last two theories. One, that I won some random Ronan Cade lottery for a hefty sum that neither of my parents chose to tell me about, doubtful. Or two, it has to do with my mother. My parents split when I was 12, and that first summer as a child of divorce, I spent it with my dad. My mom went on a work trip to Briar Point. This much I was able to find out thanks to social media, but that's all I have. I know she was here, and from what I can tell, she stayed longer than she was supposed to. Did my mother have an affair with Ronan Cade? Ding, 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 ding. Yes. This seemingly impossible scenario still doesn't quite explain why he would leave me so much money. And yes, I admit I could just ask him, yeah, why don't you do that? But I don't think I'm ready to know the answer to that question just yet. It's like a vault I'm too afraid to open. So here I sit in a renovated camper van I purchased with the money I got from selling the house, and I call it freedom. Freedom from that house with all its memories, freedom from all the empty spaces my mother should be filling but isn't, freedom from the suffocating weight of disappointment, mostly in myself. I could have driven this van anywhere, woken up on the beach or at the base of a mountain range. Instead, I drove straight to Briar Point because I knew he was here. I got a job at Salacious because I stalked him just enough to know he'd be there. Now I'm sleeping in public parks and, on occasion, Geo's couch until I get the answers I need to move on or the guts to ask those questions. And as for the money, until I know why it's there, I'm not touching it. I call it freedom, but even I know that's a lie. I simply traded one prison for another. I'm supposed to be writing my own songs. I'm supposed to be filling my book with deep and thoughtful lyrics in search of life's purpose. None of it's really going as planned. My phone lights up from the cluttered shelf next to my uncomfortable foam bed. Turning it over, I grab it and read a text from Geo. Do you realize that you lost your bet and then won a date with Ronin Cade? Who gets that lucky? I roll my eyes at his message. With a chuckle, I reply, there's no date. I doubt he'll ever talk to me again. Besides, he's way too old for me. Like, age is just a number. Yeah, and 56 is a big number. I'm not sure my dad would be too fond of me bringing home a guy older than him. LOL. I would love to see the look on his face. Please invite me when you do. It's not happening. I'm not going on that date. Sure. You know you get a cut of that money, right? I sit up so fast, I knock my head on the shelf over my head or over my bed. Ouch, fuck, I squeal, holding my forehead as I read his text again. What? How much? 20%. Holy shit. Quick, what's 20% of 100,000? 10% is 10,000. Oh my God, $20,000. You're freaking out, aren't you? Are you saying I'm going to get $20,000 on my next check? Yep. Oh my God, Gio. When is the next auction night? Easy, pretty woman. I am nothing like Julia Roberts. She relied on a rich man to save her. I think I just saved myself with money from a rich man. Semantics. I hope you're not parked anywhere dangerous tonight. The couch is open if you don't want to be homeless. Is your boy toy there? Not tonight. He's working. You mean with his girlfriend? You're being mean tonight. The money has changed you. Okay, so this was a conversation back and forth with that guy Gio, and she's telling him like, oh, I guess Gio is gay with a guy that has a girlfriend. Yeah, so like, he's her gay best friend, I guess. I giggle to myself. The pit of anxiety in my stomach is gone, and it's been replaced with excitement. I can't believe I just made $20,000. Thanks, Gio, but I'm good tonight. Parked down by the beach in that family campground. I'll stay over tomorrow night. Promise. Okay, babe. I'm glad to hear that. You need to take care of yourself. Get some sleep. Night night. When I put the phone back on the shelf, I feel a little bad again. I lied about staying at the family campground. I'm in a city parking lot downtown, close to the club. For some reason, I think that if I lie about how great my life is, then I'm somehow manipulating it to be better. But it's not. I'm still the same disappointing mess I've always been. Or it's still the same it's always been. Rule number 4. You can't kidnap young women living in their vans, even with good intentions. Ronan. Thank you, Agatha. It was delicious, I say, setting my fork on the plate and leaning back in my chair as my housekeeper comes over to clear it from the table. I'm glad you liked it, Mr. Cade. When she scoops up my plate and silverware, I catch a glimpse of her watch and grimace at the reminder that it's well after midnight. I really wish you wouldn't insist on staying so late. I'm perfectly capable of heating up my own dinner. She laughs on her way to the kitchen. Oh, I like the late hours. The boys are all grown and out of the house. It gets lonely there by myself. Make sure Tyson walks you to your car. Of course, Mr. Cade. She cleans the dishes in the sink, the gentle sound of her ministrations calming my nerves as I swill the bourbon in my glass and stare out the giant window overlooking the city. When she leaves, it will be too quiet. I think she must know that I find comfort in hearing her work because she busies herself for longer than she needs to, wiping down the counters, sweeping the floor, preparing my morning coffee so it will start brewing by 7. See you tomorrow, Mr. Cade, she calls from the entryway. Night, Agatha. Drive safe, please. I will, I promise. I hear the sound of her keys as she picks them up off the center table by the door. Oh, Mr. Cade, she calls toward me, and I turn to her expectantly. Eric wanted me to remind you about his benefit for the organization tomorrow. At the harbor? I ask. Yes, sir. Perfect. Tell him I'll be there. Thank you so much, Mr. Cade. With that, I hear her shuffling out with her coat and bags, always trying to juggle so much at once. When the door closes, the apartment is bathed in silence. It's deafening. There's something weird about silence, as if it holds me hostage. It won't let me move, won't let me put on music or the TV, and it certainly won't let me sleep. Instead, it forces me to be alone with my thoughts. Cruel, cruel silence. But at least tonight, my thoughts are filled with a sweet face, round, blue eyes, and blushing red cheeks. I can't get the nervous look Daisy wore up on that stage out of my head. After I left the club, I came straight home. Agatha was here, my meal prepared and waiting for me, and she can tell me she waited up for me because she doesn't like the silence, but I know the real reason. Agatha knows what today is. She was waiting for me to get home because there is no one else to. It's kind, but I wish it weren't my widowed housekeeper. I should have taken Daisy on a date. It makes me feel pathetic to admit it, but I should have, even if for no other reason than one night of company, one night that could potentially become a month or a year until it starts to feel like she loves the luxury I provide a little too much. Then it will inevitably end painfully. But hope, that stubborn fungus that seems to grow wherever it can, has me thinking that maybe it would. No, stop. Don't go down that road. I suppose I should get some sleep, but I can't seem to force my mind to quiet enough to relax. So I don't even bother trying. Instead, I grab my phone off the table and my jacket off the hook as I head toward the front door. After stepping into the empty elevator, I press the main floor button instead of the garage. Sometimes I go for drives at night to relax, but other nights I enjoy the quiet stroll around the city. Tonight is one of those kinds of nights. The cold air bites at my neck, so I button my jacket as I pass through the door of the lobby. It seems we have one last cold snap before spring quickly becomes summer. Need me to call you a ride, Mr. Cade? The doorman asks. No thanks, Tyson. Going to enjoy a midnight stroll instead. Enjoy, sir. Remember when you could be able to like go to Walmart at midnight? Back in the day, before COVID. It's quiet, but not the same quiet as my apartment. In there, it's loneliness, but out here, the sounds are like a melody, peaceful and harmonic. Cars driving by, crosswalk signals, music in the distance. The streets are relatively safe in this part of town. Upscale apartments and boutique style businesses line the streets. A few blocks down, there's a bar. The distant sound of voices echo through the empty streets. It's a comforting sign of life. Night owls having their fun while the rest of the world is sleeping. I've always loved the nightlife. Not that I go to bars like that anymore. In my younger days, I would. After my world fell apart, I took comfort in binge drinking and casual sex to distract me and blur reality so I didn't have to feel the excruciating things I didn't want to feel. That was all before I discovered the lifestyle, which sort of happened by accident. I was in my 30s, wasting my life away on a vicious cycle of money and sex, when I started sleeping with a woman who had a taste for being tied up and submitting her body to me. That was when I discovered that I too had certain tastes, a taste for pleasure and domination. So I started to seek out more women who had similar cravings. Soon it became less about sex and numbing the pain and more about focusing my attention on something that actually made me feel useful and needed. I found my purpose again. Then 9 years ago, the Salacious app launched, and for the first time in nearly 20 years, I had a semblance of a family again. Friends like Emerson and Eden didn't make me feel so different for what I liked in the bedroom. They gave me a place to truly be myself without judgment or ridicule. I had almost forgotten how fulfilling a family like that could be. Deep in contemplation, I continued my walk. Instead of staying straight and heading toward the bar, I turned to the left, approaching a city park after a couple more blocks. Across the street is a gas station that stays open late. The owner's name is Sherry, and her husband died last May, so I try to stop in more often to see how things are going. Sherry is behind the counter when I walk in, the doorbell chiming and alerting her of my presence. She looks up from her book and smiles at me with a warm greeting. Ronin, she says with a tilt of her head. Out late again? Can't sleep, I reply groggily. You can never sleep. It's true. How are you holding up here? I take a quick look around the store. It's in good shape, nothing that seems to be in dire need of repair. Everything's good. Business is great this time of year, she says, but I'm not ready for spring break. It'll be busy. With a chuckle, I nod. I'm sure it will. You'll let me know if there's anything I can. The door opens behind me, and I turn to see who's coming in so late. I do a double take before I recognize the thick blonde braid draped over her shoulder and those round blue eyes staring up at me like a deer in headlights. Ronan? She shrieks, standing frozen in the doorway. My brow furrows as I turn toward Daisy. I glance behind her, waiting for a boyfriend or husband, hoping that she's not walking into downtown gas station alone at 2 a.m. But there's no one, not even a car parked out front. Daisy, I ask, confounded to see her here at this hour. What are you doing at a gas station? She asks incredulously. I glance down at my watch. It's 2 in the morning. Are you here alone? She stammers, I need hot water for my tea, and Sherry lets me have it for free. I spin around and stare at Sherry with confusion, then back at Daisy. Making tea in the middle of the night? It's chamomile. It helps me sleep. Wait, why am I explaining this to you? I can go wherever I want, she adds, with her head held high. My jaw clenches, and I force myself to breathe before snapping at her for being so naive. Why can't you make hot water at home? Daisy's eyes dance back and forth between me and Sherry. Then she composes herself, shoulders back as if she is forcing herself to be strong. None of your business. It's almost cute the way she says that with her soft, breathy, high pitched voice. Or at least it would be cute if it wasn't so goddamn frustrating. She brushes past me and walks directly to the coffee station, grabbing a large cup and filling it with steaming hot water, then covering it with a plastic lid and holding it to her chest as if to steal its warmth. I watch in silence, trying to piece together this random turn of events. I mean, I like when people surprise me, but this girl is throwing me off at every turn. Night, Sherry, she says. Then she turns her serious eyes on me, glowering at me as she says, Night, Ronin. With that, she marches out the front door without another word, leaving me staring at Sherry with far more questions than answers. Daisy's right, it's none of my business, but since when has that ever stopped me? Sherry shrugs at me, and I know she's not about to disclose any of the girl's secrets. So I turn toward the door and watch Daisy crossing the dark parking lot toward the street alone. What the fuck? My feet move on their own. I'm practically chasing her out the door and across the parking lot. She's huddled in a thick sweatshirt and a pair of tight black leggings that leave very little to the imagination when it comes to the shape of her ass. I'm at a loss for words as she strides alone toward the city park. She can't be going there, can she? She's getting dangerously close to a shifty looking white van parked under a giant oak tree. What on earth is this girl up to? Daisy, I call from across the street. She turns toward me just as she reaches the white van. Her expression is tense, lips pressed together and shoulders raised up as if she's nervous. What? She replies, sounding exhausted. What the fuck are you doing? Good night, Ronan. Just go home. With an exasperated sigh, her shoulders sag away from her ears, and I can't believe what I'm seeing when she pulls open the sliding door of the van and climbs into the back. It's open long enough for me to make out a small platform bed with heavy blankets. The fight in me dissipates. She can't really be living in there, can she? Does Emerson know about this? He never let his employees struggle like that. I cross the street in a hurry. When I reach the van, I bang on the window. Daisy, open up! I bark. I said goodnight, Ronan, she calls from inside. Get out of the fucking van, I bellow, my teeth clenched. I thought I could keep my cool, but I guess I was wrong. Apparently, I'm incapable of remaining calm at this moment. I'm too appalled and, to be honest, more than a little fired up. A moment later, the door slides open and she's staring at me with an angry expression. Who do you think you are? She argues. You think because you're a man, you can just boss me around? Are you sleeping in your van? I ask, ignoring her antagonizing question. She leans closer, those baby blue eyes piercing me with anger. It's none of your business, she snaps, punctuating each word. I've lost control. It's long gone. I act on impulse as I snatch her by the waist and hoist her over my shoulder, turning as if I mean to carry her home like this. What are you doing? She screams. Clearly, this won't work. I'll be thrown in jail within minutes. If I try to abduct this flailing young woman and bring her to my apartment, I drop her onto the ground so she's standing just in front of me. Get your head together, Ronan. What the fuck is wrong with you? When she rears back her head to slap me, I grab her by the wrist before she makes contact. You're fucking crazy if you think I'm going to let you sleep out here. I'm not homeless, she replies. Lots of people live in their vans. It's like a mobile home. I've got a bed and I'm safe. You think walking around at night, letting people see you getting to that van is safe? A man could easily break the windows and hurt you. I'm seething at this point. The only one bothering me is you, she replies, coldly letting her eyes slide over to where my hand is still holding her wrist. Am I overreacting? Am I wrong for wanting to stop this girl from sleeping in a van on one of the downtown streets? Daisy is no one to me. Why should I care what she does? I should walk away right now, except I can't. There is something holding me to this spot, keeping me tethered to her and this situation. You can't fix everything, my wife used to tell me, and she was right, but I would never fucking stop from it would never fucking stop me from trying. I have plenty of room at my place. You can even park your van in the garage to keep it safe. She practically flinches, staring at me as if I've offended her. Are you crazy? I can't go with you. Yes, you can, and you are, I reply impatiently. Are you going to throw me over your shoulder again?
Her mouth is set in a straight line, and it's kind of cute how confidently she's arguing with me, like she'd actually win. My jaw clenches, and I fight the urge to do exactly that. It would make me feel better, but it would only piss her off, and I could never get her to stay. Instead, I lean in and look her in the eye. She seems a bit surprised by my proximity, her eyes going wide and the tension in her shoulders melting away. Daisy, I'm just trying to help you, okay? Let me help you. Her lips part as she struggles to find her response. I don't need your help. You don't have to need it. Take it anyway. I watch her gaze dance back and forth between my eyes before she finally forces herself to swallow, and I see the fight die in her. This park is no place for a woman to sleep alone. I couldn't rest knowing you're out here, so just come with me tonight. Her brows are pinched together when she asks, what do you want in return? Nothing, I reply without hesitation. You don't need to lure young women to your apartment to get laid, do you? I laugh a little at that. Not really. With that, she lets out a heavy exhale. I notice her glance behind me at her van before sending me a quick nod. Fine, if it'll make you feel better, I'll go. Thank you, I reply. You always get what you want, don't you? She asks as she moves toward her van, sliding the door closed and then facing me with a stern expression. For a moment, I wonder if it's some sort of twist of fate that brought us together twice in one night. If there was something more powerful at play when I left my apartment to walk the streets without knowing she'd be walking them too. I don't bother letting my eyes drink in the long, slender shape of her legs or the stubborn expression on her face. I refuse to get attached to the idea of Daisy and I are anything more than acquaintances because I know better. She's right. I don't have to do much to get women in my bed, but I'm dreaming if I think I can get one like her to stay. Getting my heart broken is painful enough, but getting mine broken by a woman like Daisy might kill me. So I lie, and with a smile, I nod. Yes, I do. Rule number 5, some opportunities are too good to pass up. Daisy. Well, this is an interesting turn of events. I'm in an elevator in my pajamas with Ronan Cade in the middle of the night, about to sleep in his apartment, like some sort of vagrant he found on the streets, which technically I am. I can't decide if I'm incredibly lucky or incredibly stupid. We stand in silence until the elevator chimes and the doors open. Then we're in a foyer area, and he strides across the small space using a key to open the heavy door. As we step through, my jaw nearly hits the floor. It's an expansive space that leads to floor to ceiling windows overlooking the city and the bay beyond. The kitchen is bigger than my entire van, and the living room has a TV that's surely taller than I am. He walks into the room, his shoes clicking against the marble floor, but I'm standing by the door in silence, wondering how I went from shivering under 3 blankets an hour ago to now standing in a penthouse suite in the city. Come on, Daisy, he calls, his deep, authoritative voice echoing through the room. I quickly follow him, but I can't stop looking around. Agatha will be here in the morning. She'll make breakfast and get you anything you need. I pause. Who is Agatha? Agatha is my housekeeper, he answers matter of factly. He leads me down a long hallway with rooms on each side. The one straight ahead appears to be an office with another large window where the night sky is shimmering through the glass. My eyes linger on the office, knowing that it must contain a lot of important information. This is the guest bedroom, he says, opening a tall door that leads into a massive bedroom. As I step in, he clicks on the light for me. The bedding is a crisp white with more pillows than necessary. There's an ensuite bathroom here, too. Help yourself to whatever you need. As I spin around to see the bathroom, I come face to face with Ronan. His chestnut brown eyes stare down at me expectantly. Why were you walking in the middle of the night? I ask. His jaw clenches. I like to go for walks when I can't sleep. At 2 in the morning? Aren't you afraid of getting mugged? I didn't take anything of value. Are you afraid I somehow manipulated you into my home like I planned all of this? The confusion on his face morphs into a playful expression, and there's a lightness in his tone that's too handsome to hate. Yeah, maybe I am. I mean, it's just weird that a billionaire would be in some random gas station in the middle of the night that I just happened to be at too. Were you following me? When he licks his lips as he smiles, he almost looks sexy, his mischievous expression making me grin in return. Now you're concerned about your safety, he says with amusement. He has a point. Listen, Daisy, if you'd like me to leave, I have another place in town I could go to, and you'd have the apartment to yourself. You can also call anyone at Salacious to vouch for me. I have no intention of hurting you or taking advantage of you. Then his expression darkens again as he adds, in a fatherly tone, I'm glad you're interrogating me, though. You should. I chew on my lower lip as I stare at him, trying to gauge how serious he is. One thing about Ronan Cade is that he seems ridiculously down to earth for a man of his wealth and stature. I do believe him, which means he's either sincere or the kind of sociopath who's good enough to make people believe his lies. After a moment of contemplation, I say, You don't have to leave. I'm not worried. It's strange how much I don't want him to leave. Good. I'll let you get some sleep. I usually rise early, so if I'm not here when you wake up, help yourself to anything in the apartment, and Agatha will get you whatever you need. Thank you, I mumble. There's a long pause as he watches for a moment, the weight of this weird encounter thickening the air with tension. From the doorway, he dons his stern expression again as he furrows his brow at me and says, Don't ever sleep in the city park again. It's dangerous. Are we clear? I stifle a laugh as I link my hands behind my back. Yes, Dad. His stiffening expression and momentary pause is proof that I might have just made things even weirder by saying that. I wait one long, torturously awkward second after another before he finally leaves, taking the tension with him. After he shuts me into my room, I throw my bag on the floor and head into the bathroom. Of course, it's huge, with a sleek, full size tub, a tiled shower with two shower heads. Ooh, shower heads, like we learned from the last book. Maybe they'll use them together. And a fancy looking marble counter. I take all my showers at the club, but I haven't taken a bubble bath in months, and I'd love to have one now, but I'm so tired. I'm afraid I'd pass out in there and drown. So instead, I kick off my clothes, wash my face, and climb into the giant bed. The mattress is so soft, I almost forget I'm in Ronan Cade's apartment and not sleeping on a cloud. I'm only alone with my thoughts for a few minutes before I'm swept away into a deep sleep. I don't move an inch all night. This might be the best I've slept in months. When I do finally peel my eyes open, the bright light of the sun shines through the window, and I'm instantly reminded of where I'm sleeping. No thin foam mattress, no stuffy, poorly ventilated van, no street traffic. I'm in Ronan Cade's apartment. What a strange, coincidental twist of fate. It must be a sign, right? I'm here for a reason, and everything I want is within my grasp. All I have to do now is reach out and take it. I could ask him. I probably should ask him, but I've already spent 3 months working at the club and sort of missed my opportunity to bring up the whole, you knew my mother and left me $1 million conversation without now looking like a psycho stalker in this scenario. But if I could get him to open up about a woman he knew and or dated briefly in the past, then at least I'd have something then I'd be able to move on. I could take the money knowing it was truly what my mother wanted and that I would be taking a piece of her with me too. I jump out of bed and immediately hear muffled voices down the hall. Gently prying open the door, I listen in on their conversation. You're the best, Agatha, Ronan says, his deep voice carrying through the long hallway. How long will she be staying? As long as she needs to, he replies warmly. She won't be sleeping in that van parked alone in the city. I roll my eyes at his insinuation that he somehow now controls my life. She's as stubborn as she is sweet, he adds, And I laugh silently. He thinks I'm stubborn. Maybe what you need might be what you need. She'll keep you on your toes, the woman jokes. Yes, she would, he replies in a low tone. As quietly as possible, I close the door and head into the bathroom. My fingers slide easily over the marble counter before I reach into the shower and twist the handle until steam and water sprays from both shower heads. In my head, I hum a tune that's been plaguing me for a few days now, and when I'm standing under the warm spray, I play with different lyrics to assign the melody. Showers are always my favorite place to think, and after months of public showers, I'm so relieved to finally have the privacy of time to really brainstorm. And for the first time in months, the song comes easily. By the time I get it out, I feel more refreshed and cleaner than I have in ages. Standing in nothing but my towel, I grab my phone and quickly jot down messy, typo riddled lyrics in the Notes app before my brain forgets them. After slipping on something comfortable, I run my fingers through my hair while it dries, so it ends up a wavy, textured look. Admiring my good hair day, I decide to leave it down. Then I ease out of the bathroom and walk barefoot down the hallway toward the main living area. I'm not sure what's more impressive, the view at night or the bright light that makes this entire apartment feel warm and inviting, as if I'm living on a cloud hovering above the rest of the city. I'm surprised to find the place empty when I emerge, so I take a few minutes to be snoopy and curious. I mean, who wouldn't? The intoxicating aroma of coffee pulls me toward the kitchen. But instead of pouring a cup, I continue on through the dining room and into another large living space. This one a little more formal than the other. There aren't any personal photos to inspect, just some art on the walls, a few pieces of memorabilia that look to be from his travels. There's a bar and a shelf full of old books, and I gasp, freezing in place as I allow my eyes to drink in the image before me. A black, pristine baby grand piano, probably the most beautiful piano I've ever seen. Taking a few steps towards it, I listen for the sound of anyone approaching, but the apartment is silent. I reach out to touch it, and when my fingers brush the cool, clean, black lacquered wood, I let out a husky breath. This is the kind of piano you only see in movies. When I was 8, my mom found an old upright piano that someone left in one of the houses she sold. The day she brought it home and shoved it into the tiny, cramped corner of our two-bedroom bungalow was one of the best days of my life. I fiddled with that piano relentlessly, learning notes, scales, and chopsticks on repeat for an entire year. She gifted me proper lessons the following Christmas with the money she scraped together from her commissions. Every Tuesday after school, I sat with an old woman named Dorothy who taught me the proper way to play. But it wasn't long before I went rogue. When I was truly alone with the piano, I felt connected to it, like it was an extension of me, to the point where I didn't know if I was the one writing the songs or it was. But together, we pieced together melodies, then bridges, refrains, choruses, and hooks. The day I sold that piano was the second worst day of my life, but it reminded me too much of my mom. Just as I let my fingers slide along the ivories, a deep voice echoes from behind me. Do you play? With a yelp, I jump back from the piano, as if I've been caught with my hand in the cookie jar. Oh my God, you scared me. Sorry, he replies with a laugh. Didn't mean to. It's okay. With my hand over my chest, I take Ronan's casual appearance in. No suits, um, or tuxedo like I'm used to seeing him in. Not even the unkempt after work version where he ditches the jacket and lets the top few buttons loose so he can relax. Today, he's in a tight, long sleeve shirt and jeans over black boots. I feel myself tensing as I quickly assess his appearance. Why am I struggling so much with how good looking he is? Why can't I just admit that he's gorgeous? So do you? He asks, his eyes trailing toward the baby grand. Yes, actually I do. Or I used to. There's something strange about revealing personal details to Ronan, being a real person around him, letting my guard down enough to let him see the girl underneath. Maybe it's from always only seeing one another at work or in a work environment. I see him as nothing more than a rich older man, and he sees me as nothing more than a drink server in a short skirt and heels. When he pulls back the bench, I tense. Well, go ahead then, he says softly. Oh, no, that's okay. I'm so rusty. There's no audience, no one to impress, just play. I force a smile and let out a heavy breath, knowing I could argue more, but a part of me doesn't want to. The piano's calling to me. Okay, I mumble, moving toward the seat. When I sit on the bench, he gives me space, leaning against the wall as he watches me with those somber brown eyes. The keys are smooth against my fingers as I rest them gently in place. It feels as if they're home for the first time in years. After swallowing my nerves, I press down with both hands at once, and the room fills with a rich, intoxicating sound. Instantly, I'm transported, a different time, a different place, nowhere specific. The notes take me away as I play a simple song I wrote years ago, but it's really a feeling I'm whisked off to. The sensation of being free, no worries or fears or stress. The melody drowns all of that out. My eyes begin to sting with the threat of tears, so I keep my head down. Even the damper pedal feels like butter under my bare foot as each note melts into the other. And suddenly I can't seem to stop. I play from memory, deviating from the melody and blending together my own chords and bridges until I find a place to stop. Even after my fingers have risen, I keep my foot pressed, letting the sound coast until I lift it and it's replaced with silence. And just like that, I'm back in the real world, sitting in a billionaire's apartment, playing a piano that's not mine. That was beautiful, he whispers delicately, almost as if he doesn't want to disturb the tender moment I'm in. Thank you, I reply, just as softly. Did you write it? I shrug, yes. How long have you played? When I finally lift my gaze to his face, I find it almost difficult to look him in the eyes. The way he stares at me with interest is intoxicating, and I worry I'm falling into his hypnotic trap. I started taking lessons as a kid, but then I just like to mess around on our piano at home. But I'll be honest, I say, staring down at the keys. I think this is the first in tune piano I've ever played. When I look up at him, my face pulling into a gentle grin, he smiles back, and for a moment, I swear I forget to breathe. You're welcome to play this anytime you'd like, or this one anytime you like. I clench my molars together as I swallow down the emotion building in my throat. The opportunity to play again, really play, hits me harder than I expected. Thank you, I reply, clearing my throat as I look down. Ronan has this strange way of feeling far more relatable than he should. Maybe that's his charming trick with women to deceive them into thinking he actually cares about them or has more in common with them than is reasonable to believe. The worst part is that I think I'm falling for it, and I'm sure my mother did too. All right. That is the end of chapter 5. We'll pick it up on chapter 6 tomorrow, which is going to be great because it's titled Keep Your Dirty Thoughts to Yourself. And mm, we I'm gonna love this one when they kiss. When they first kiss, really should be nude when reading this one. I really don't want to be on this channel tomorrow. Ugh. Maybe I'll read on the other side if I can. Maybe, or maybe because I'm gonna need more time before I can get another channel. I mean, I'm sure I will by Sunday.
and I won't have to be back here on this channel with people that hate me and don't think I'm worth supporting even if I die, which is a horrible suck feeling. Um, but what did you think of the book? Well, you can write me on the other side. Uh, but I think when she says that she likes, oh, looking at him and the attraction building, it's like if somebody likes you and cares about you and you can see their attractive qualities more, then I think it's better than just a surface, s- like what, like a swipe on a like, I hate that saying, would, like, where it's like really the taking in that person, like, oh, they're special. Um, so I like that they're building of like a soulmate, like a soul connection that they would have found each other, and I don't know. All right. Um, thank you for being there for me through this horrible night, horrible yesterday, horrible lately. I love you so much.